Alright, so we got the full summary for 1076, and this chapter is incredible. And I know that I've consistently been saying that, like, oh, this chapter is the best of Egghead. Oh, this chapter is. Well, I think this chapter should at least be in the running for best chapter of Egghead so far. But before we get into it, let me just quickly go over what had happened in the previous. So we saw that Pythagoras was, like, caught in an explosion, and the cameras were being taken down as well. But later on, S-Snake wound up attacking Atlas and Frankie's group, while Shaka met up with Luffy and Zoro, who were, like, guarding Lucci and Kaku as they were passed out, and S-Snake and S-Bear wound up tracking them down, and it turns out that they were attacking everyone here. Or seemingly everyone. It really remains to be seen if they were actively going after Luffy and Zoro, but they were definitely going after CP0 and Shaka. I say this because it's a possibility that they're only going after them so that this could line up with the headline that Morgan set up in the previous chapter about Straw Hats kidnapping Vegapunk maybe. I'm also not married to that, but it is also an interesting buzz. But anyway, the explosion of the attack that S-Bear and S-Snake wind up doing looks like Saturn. And I don't think it's coincidence. This is definitely tied to Saturn in some way. We know that he's on his way to Egghead with Kizaru. And then we also mentioned earlier about the possibility of him already being there, or a clone of him, or a Seraphim. So whoever is giving the orders to the Seraphim here is tied to Saturn, or just Saturn himself. And then at the end of the chapter, Lucci and Kaku woke up and asked Luffy and Zoro to uncuff them so they can help them fight against the Seraphims. The chapter begins where the last one ended. Zoro hears Nami's scream in the distance, so he says that they need to protect all Vegapunks and help their Nakama too. We don't see anything about the other groups in this chapter. Luffy and Zoro decide that they need to finish the fight quickly, so they can't keep carrying CP0 around. Kaku talks with Luffy. Kaku says, if we manage to go through this together, I will allow you to cuff me again. Luffy says, oh, you will? Fine then. Luffy talks now with Lucci. Luffy says, after we finish this fight, you won't take it out on my Nakama or Vegapunk just because you can't beat me, right? And Lucci says, fine by me. I want to kill you first anyway. And after you're dead, all of your Nakama will end up dead too. Shaka gives the handcuff key to Luffy. Shaka says, you are free to do anything you want as long as you ensure Stella's safety. Luffy releases Lucci and Kaku, although Zoro doesn't trust them. So yeah, we expected this much. You know, as we saw at the end of the previous chapter, Lucci requested it, so we expected that, you know, okay, why not give us this dream matchup for now? And it still remains to be seen, like, where their true allegiance lies, at least in this particular scenario. I mean, obviously, they're with the world government and the Celestial Dragons and everything, but it's like, is this all one big elaborate ruse just to gain their momentary trust? Luffy and Lucci fight S-Bear. Zoro and Kaku fight S-Hawk. Luffy uses Gear 4th, and Lucci uses hybrid form, not awaken. Kaku doesn't transform. S-Hawk has the Super no Mi powers from Das Bone / Mr. 1, so his body has the characteristics of steel. Okay, so this is super interesting, and we went over this yesterday. S-Hawk, who is like the Mihawk Seraphim, for some reason has the Super no Mi powers. And as far as I know, Das Bones doesn't really have any connection or history with Vegapunk, or at least that we know of yet. So I'm not really sure how Vegapunk got the lineage factor for this fruit, unless he got it from the previous holder of the fruit, which makes sense. Or Das Bones is connected to him. But also, we see that Luffy is using Gear 4, and Lucci is just using his standard hybrid form. And this goes back to what I've been saying for the last couple of reviews, but we know it's been pointed out that Luffy is tired, and he already used Gear 5 to go against Lucci's awakened form, and it seems like maybe he can only use Gear 5 like maybe once a day, or I don't know, once every couple hours or something at this point, which makes sense. So that's why he's in Gear 4, and I guess the same goes for Lucci in his awakened form, since he's not using it at the moment. And then ditto for Kaku. In an amazing double page, Luffy, Lucci, and Zoro and Kaku use a combo attack against S-Bear and S-Hawk. Luffy says Gomu Gomu no Kangun, and Lucci says Roku Ogan. Zoro says Rengoku Onigiri, and Kaku says Rengyaku Hakurai. Both Seraphim blow out of the building. So that's it. That's like the end of that confrontation, at least for now. And as we expected, they pretty much dominated the Seraphim. It's just funny to see it play out so cleanly like that. And I'm sure this is going to please anger the scaling community, because you get some like kind of good scaling materials here, like Gear 4 Luffy and standard hybrid Lucci equates to being able to overpower a Seraphim. Then the same goes for just Zoro and base Kaku, I guess. I don't know. Cut to real Vegapunk, Stella. He wakes up in a secret prison inside the laboratory. Vegapunk is an old man again, but he's injured and in chains. Vegapunk is locked up with some Cypherpole agents who went missing some weeks ago / months. From Cypherpole number 5, 7, and 8. Vegapunk wonders how he's ended up in prison, and he says to that it's how curious his Poneglyphs research got leaked to the world government. So that's really interesting. So in the previous review, we were talking about how the Stella Vegapunk, the main body, was probably the traitor this whole time, and it seemed to be popular opinion in the community, right? Until now, where it seems like he's not, because he's in this secret prison where the other Cypherpole agents are that we heard about before, because like when Lucci pulled up to Egghead for the first time, he asked Vegapunk about them, and he didn't know anything, or at least Shaka didn't. But I guess the real Vegapunk didn't either, because he's also talking about how it's curious his Poneglyph research got leaked to the world government. So it's like, I guess he didn't do it himself, meaning that he's not the traitor here, and he has been genuine this whole time. So if it's not Shaka, then I guess it's Stussy, right? I guess she's the last main suspect. That makes sense for all of this to tie together. So Stussy is like a double traitor or a triple agent. Cut outside of Egghead Island. We can hear some communications from different marine bases saying that more than 100 ships are heading to Egghead Island. Oh my god. 100 ships are heading to Egghead. This is crazy. We already know that Kizaru and Saturn of the Gorosei are headed to Egghead, but now 100 more ships are. Like, this is becoming a large-scale event. Like, we thought that this was not going to be too big, it was going to be Punk Hazard 2.0, like bigger than Punk Hazard, but like not as big as Marineford. But now this is like reaching Marineford level. I mean, it's not there yet, but it's getting there. Cut to Elbaf, specifically in a bar near the coast. Shanks and the red hair pirates are drinking inside the bar. A giant kid asks Shanks if he can go with them in their ship, but Shanks refuses him, like he did with Luffy in One Piece Chapter 1. The bar lady tells the giant kid to give up. Some ships from red hair pirates' fleets are near the island, and they inform Shanks that kid pirates are approaching Elbaf. Red hair pirates talk about it. Ben Beckman says our enemy must be angry. And Lucky Roo says, look who's talking. Who do you think they have a grudge against? Shanks says, looks like I spent too much time talking. It can't be helped since I've just met some old friends who I thought were dead. Shanks gets up from the table and continues talking. I don't want to cause too much damage to this place. Will you help me out, Dory and Bragi? In another incredible double page, we could see the red hair pirates are drinking with Bragi, Dory, Karsi, Oimo, and other giants. We could see that all of them really appreciate Shanks. Dory and Bragi say, of course, brother. We are ready to help you fight. Shanks walks to battle with Dory and Bragi, and Shanks tells Rockstar to go ahead and talk with the kid before the battle starts. Shanks says, Rockstar, tell the kid that he can fight against us now, or he can surrender the road Poneglyph and leave. Kid Pirate's ship is fighting the other ships from the Red Hair Pirates fleet in the sea. Killer talks with Kid. During our previous fight, you couldn't even get to see Shanks' face. This time you might just not lose an arm. Kid says we can worry about that if we actually lose. The chapter ends with Shanks walking towards the coast with the other captains cheering for him. End of chapter, break next week. Oh my god, like I was saying, guys, this is an incredible chapter. Maybe the best of Egghead so far. So a lot to break down here. Let's get into it. So first of all, Shanks is at Elbaf, and he's with the giants that we've met through previous arcs, which is amazing. Dory and Bragi from Little Garden, and Karsi and Oimo from Enies Lobby. And of course they know Shanks. Everybody knows Shanks, that goes without saying. But I assume that Shanks is here for the same reason that Kid is, because they're both looking for the man with the birthmark, which in my opinion is Saul, which turns out that he survived the Buster Call in Ohara and wound up salvaging a lot of the books from the library and bringing them to Ohara, and over the years gaining that knowledge, meaning that he likely knows where the last road Poneglyph is, the one that was missing from Fishman Island. And the last time that we saw Shanks, he told Ben Beckman and the audience that he was pretty much going after the One Piece. So yeah, he's coming here to find the location of the road Poneglyph. But now that Kid's also here, we could see that he's asking him for his, which is the one that they got from Wano. And this is amazing. And it seems like we're coming into this like final elimination tournament for the One Piece. Like we just saw another battle happening previously with Blackbeard going against Law, Poneglyph in that stipulation as well, along with other things, but Poneglyph specifically mentioned, same as it is here. So this is amazing. And another really interesting thing that we're finding out here here is that Kid didn't even fight Shanks. Like, we thought for the longest time that Shanks took Kid's arm. It's like, no, one of the red-haired pirates did. And it's like, which one did it? And that's the big question. I don't know. I mean, it could be Lucky Roo or Ben Beckman or Yassop, you know, like one of the big named ones. Anyone else is like kind of disrespectful at that point. But wow, this is super exciting. And it looks like the next other big battle is going to be Kid versus Shanks. And I'll say that maybe we'll get 1.5 chapters of this fight like we did with Blackbeard and Law, if we're lucky. But I wouldn't expect too much from this. I think a lot of this, along with the Blackbeard and Law fight, is going to happen off panel. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. So much to talk about. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.